Kia ora, g'day. Welcome back once again. Here, this should be part 6 of my reaction to the NZSAS First Among Equals, and they're into their cycle. My apologies to one of the kind supporters from my channel who pulled me up and said, hey, are you ever going to finish the NZSAS cycle reaction? So the last one was part 5. This is part 6. So let's jump back in.
With a lot of weapon skills in room combat, you learn to think quickly.
Straight away, I recognize and remember this guy. He was my patrol commander on my patrol procedures course in NZ for at least part of the course anyway. Actually, it might have been, I think it was for the final exercise as well. We had different patrol commanders at different stages of the cycle as we're going through the different learning phases and things like that. And I'm pretty sure I had this fella as my PC for my final phase. As we went through. And I was delegated, I was the SIG for that final exercise as well. Wow, it's pretty cool seeing
on your feet. You have
face.
to.
I don't know if I saw his face earlier in this first 9 minutes or so into this part. But I wonder how he's doing.
If you can't, then you'll make a mistake. You make a mistake and someone will die. You've got to pick up threats or something that's not quite right and deal with it straight away.
You've got to know that it's a target to shoot, to kill, or it's a safe.
Rest in peace to this man, Bill Moffat. Rest in peace to him. He was, when I was going through cycle, and we were doing, I remember on the CQB part of the cycle, this counter-terrorism stuff, we would have to, at the end of each serial, replace doors and stuff and help him out. He did the majority of the work. Like, he was a badged member of the unit, I think retired at that stage, but still supporting the unit. And I think we saw that through this series, through this documentary. Him, along with some others, have been there during the patrol procedures phase and that sort of stuff. But he was a big part of when I went through cycle and the counter-terrorism piece, and he just did a truckload of work. And so for us, in terms of being students or being, candidates trying to make it into the unit, we would from time to time have to, double out, go get doors, come back in, and then replace them on the hinges and that sort of thing so that we could go through for the next serials and things like that. But this guy, he was good to us. Like, I guess because he wasn't at that stage officially a directing staff assessing us, he was still, I guess I want to say, attached to the unit and supporting the unit, even though he wasn't at that stage, even though he wasn't an operational member of the unit, I believe at that time anyway. So at the end of the day, he was a badge member of the unit, so we still just treated him with the same respect as the other directing staff. If he told us to go get something, then we just ran and went and got it.
Could be somebody putting his hands up there unless you see the weapon. So, within a fraction of a second, the guy's got to learn how to react.
Week 6 inside New Zealand's SAS headquarters, and the unit's 5 newest soldiers are ready to move to the next level of counter-terrorism training. Rehearsal for missions in urban settings.
All attempts by the police negotiating team to contact the terrorists have so far failed. The only communications have been a terrorist yelling from the doorway of the building. If the police approach, the hostages will be killed.
Tempo just ramps up a little bit more. There is no sort of, this is, just a rehearsal. There's an end, there's a goal.
By now they're living, breathing the SAS life. Even their response time on a day off is tested.
You could be at the movies. Beeper goes off, give the girl a kiss and hand over your jaffers and off you go.
There's a set procedure to
give the girl a kiss, hand over your jaffers, and off you go. Those that don't know what jaffers are, if you're watching from another country, they're those chocolate-coated, orange, round ball things. They're quite nice. You get an orangey type taste, or depending, I suppose, on your taste buds. Or the term Jaffa stands for something else, an acronym, I suppose some might say a derogatory term, or an acronym for people from
every step.
In today's world that we live in, there are real threats out there. Threats that can materialise almost instantaneously.
This training is not for if, but when.
The mission, the CTT, is to move by 1800 hours today. The wrecking car is already gone, and that was the OC Delta 1, 12, and the SIG. I want N6.
Until now, the 5 new troopers have been blooded into A squadrons abroad counter-terrorism training.
All right, lads, disappear.
Now each man must learn the functions of working in a small counter-terrorism patrol.
Man, that looks like the same. I want to say the same. It looks like the same BTF when I went through in NZ in '99. Looks similar. It may not be, but it does look like the same sort of layout. But I just, what came to mind then was just a whole bunch of feelings listening to those briefings, and then just during cycle, because you do some of the black roll counterterrorism stuff with actual badged members within the unit. And I was like a deer in the headlights, like looking around, it's like, wow, these guys, like, oh man, I hope I can make it here and work with these guys and learn from them, especially. But it's like, I think DJ Shipley's talked about it on the Sean Ryan show. Like, you're looking around like you're looking at rock stars. That's what it felt like to me anyway, just to be in the same room, to me with the guys that were badged members within the NZSAS at that time, and then having an opportunity to, you want to try to give as good an account of yourself as you can. You want to be organised. You want to have be ready to go when it's time to go. You want to perform your task. If you're the breacher or the person doing the MOE, you want to be able to do that well. If you're handling and operating your weapon, right through to doing the assault, right through to dominating the space, right through to moving all the hostages out, and then and cuffing everybody and going through all the checks and everything like that. You just want to perform as well as you can. And it's there's a lot of pressure. There is a lot of pressure, especially if you're a candidate and a student on cycle. But there's also, for me, I felt like a lot of excitement, like just stoked to be there, excitement, and just this is what this is going to be about. This is what this is like. You're already starting to get those feelings and stuff, the butterflies in your stomach, the thoughts going on in your head. Okay, I need to make sure I've got all my gear squared away, make sure my mates are squared away, make sure I need to bomb up their magazines or help out with anything if we need to. All of that stuff just wrapped in or starts to enter every part. I felt for me, as I think about it now, I'm getting a lot of those feelings again, just sort of consumed every part of my mind and body to want to perform as well as I could, do the job to a high standard, and give a good account of myself, which everybody wants to do. So it just brought back a whole bunch of memories. It probably had nothing to do with the reaction, other than that looks like the same sort of BTF, the battle training facility that we used when I went through.
You have to start from the bottom and receive the counsel and wisdom of those who have gone ahead, because they will learn innovative techniques. They will know the specific improvisations required for various theaters.
You're ultimately the fourth wheel to a patrol that's on operations. Do they trust you? Are you going to hold up? Are you going to be good enough?
Got a schematic of the interior. It's just a basic 4-room layout. Don't take too long.
You keep your mouth shut and you learn off them. That's what you do.
This patrol is preparing.
Perfect advice. Anybody looking to go on selection, or anybody on cycle or preparing for cycle, keep your mouth shut and learn from them. Speak up, obviously. Don't keep your mouth so shut that you're afraid to ask questions, or that you're afraid to challenge something if it looks wrong, sounds wrong, feels wrong. There's probably something there. So have the courage to speak to that. But you can speak to that still in a way that is respectful of the people, of the men that you are there learning from. So as Dale said, keep your mouth shut and learn from them. The vast majority, dare I say 99.999 whatever % of the time, you're going to be, what they say goes, because it looks right, it sounds right, it feels right. And when you do it and you perform it and execute it, it flows the way that it's meant to. So there's going to be very little times, I would imagine, for anybody on cycle who is a student that's going to have a better understanding of how and why things should be done, and when and where in certain situations and circumstances, based on the task that you are expected to perform and carry out.
Clear rooms and search for hostages in an exercise designed to sharpen reactions.
Your senses now are really fired up. Focus on capturing what mental images you had in your head before you went through, i.e. what the layout of the rooms were.
Though sometimes compared to Secret Agent James Bond, in reality SAS soldiers have no license to kill.
Stand by, go.
Their actions are strictly governed by domestic and international laws.
Everything's split second.
Working at speed, the patrol aims to neutralise the terrorist threat.
That didn't look like the best start when they first entered into that first opening, which appeared to be like a bit of a corridor from where they started. But hey, there's probably a lot of nerves. I'm sure my first start and going through, I don't know if that's their first serial or whatever, or their first time applying it after they would have done a whole bunch of other training. But I'm sure my first start, and or probably indeed even some of my run-throughs, even as an operator, there were probably some gaps in there as well. And I know for a fact that there must have been across the board for our team, because we were constantly getting debriefed in terms of what we needed to do better, what we needed to be mindful of. There was never, I don't ever recall a time of being told, good work, men, and just having it left at that. It was either not too bad, but, or that was one of the instructors used to have a saying, used to say, that was a pig's ass. So I won't mention his name because I don't think he's still in anymore, but just in case. But that was a cracker. We would say that, obviously when the directing staff weren't around, this is an NZ, and we'd be imitating him and some of the other directing staff. I think as you do, because the individuals, the directing staff, and you within your cohort, you have your own personalities, and some of the instructors had some really dare I say magnetic personalities, and or some personalities that we just found ourselves as blinking cheeky Māoris wanting to imitate and try to pretend that we were them whilst we were ripping into one of our mates
without harming the civilians. For the new troopers, the consequences of any mistakes have been drummed home.
That training could be the difference between an innocent, the difference between you going to prison.
For the 5 new troopers, striving to attain SAS standard while mastering the complexities of counter-terrorism brings extra pressure.
That's the tricks of the trade. It's business.
So they must practice and practice. Everything is preparing them for potential domestic or international operations.
When you tell us security forces, we here to rescue you.
And they bide their time.
Even that layout is different to what we had. I didn't have anything like that. I don't know which camp they're at there either. So maybe it's due to the new camp, or maybe not new camp, having moved back to their old camp, I suppose, is probably a better
for
way
the chance to fight in the international war on terror.
Room is not safe. Gas.
First year in the Black Roll is a huge learning curve again. You're really homing your skills.
Now the new troopers move to the infiltration phase of counter-terrorism training. During cycle, they learn the basics of helicopter infiltration in an open environment. Now they must train for very different terrain, an assault on New Zealand's largest city.
May be just where the SAS have to exercise their skills in the event of a terrorist attack.
Like most NZSAS missions, the infiltration will be done under the cover of darkness. There is no margin of error above the Queen City, with the weight of each soldier's body armour and weaponry adding to the challenge of unpredictable winds.
You've done the drill so many times, you know something's wrong and you focus back on it. But some things are just going to become instinctive.
A concrete structure replaces soft grass. This training is a far cry from actual combat infiltration, because there are no enemy bullets here. But in Vietnam in 1969, an NZSAS patrol would be fighting for their lives after a chopper infiltration.
You really didn't. I didn't worry, and I don't think anybody else did too much about the fact that you're going to be killed, and if you're killed, you're killed.
The patrol was about to step straight into the sights of a waiting enemy.
And we went into this huge deserted rice paddy on the edge of some scrub.
Man, just the experiences that these Vietnam veterans must have. You know, all veterans from the older times, and then you've got the veterans from particularly the global war on terror. The experiences that they've had, that they've, you know, those that have lived through them, and then it would be, you know, just thinking, how would you capture all of that? Because, you know, I suppose you can only capture what you can capture from those experience-wise, from those that are willing to talk about their experiences, and those that aren't, well, you know, it's just sadly, there's probably so much that we will never know and won't have the opportunity to capture because some people are just not that way inclined to share some of what they've been through for whatever those reasons are, which is absolutely fine. And then at the other end of the spectrum, you get some bloody muppets that want to tell you all the blinking fish stories. I think on the back end of some of the Tim Kennedy addresses or the claims podcast that he's been doing or interview that he's done. So, yeah, I don't know. It's probably hard to find that balance, eh?
It was to be a 5-day patrol, if I remember rightly.
Their planned 5-day mission would last only a matter of minutes once the Kiwis entered the scrub full of silent Vietnamese.
The patrol lasted 26 minutes and we covered 26 metres. It was a hive of activity of whatever the enemy were. I couldn't tell you whether they were North Vietnamese or Viet Cong because it was the wet season and the grass was very, very tall.
The soldiers scrambled to await a helicopter extraction.
It was a big clearing, so there's quite a bit of time when you're exposed to the possibility of ground fire.
Holding their nerve, the 5 New Zealanders fired over 400 rounds and launched 25 grenades.
If everybody's yelling and shouting and nobody's listening, then it's chaos, isn't it?
There you go. Tim Kennedy might have thought he was part of this particular patrol. Launched over 25 grenades. So I think he had a backpack. Forget what the name is that he calls for it. Speedball or something, or a speed bag. As many grenades and magazines as you can. Maybe this is what he imagined he was doing. Maybe he heard about this story or other stories, and maybe that's where he got the 50 grenades from. Or he decided, I'm going to do more than that. I'm going to say I had 50 grenades.
And we all stayed in a little tight bundle while they sorted out the tree line with gunfire.
Finally, armoured helicopters came to the aid of the besieged Kiwis. Escaping the overwhelming odds, it was one of the shortest missions in the entire Vietnam War.
Man, just amazing, eh? The pilots, helo pilots, fast jet pilots, and the big fat planes up in the air and all that sort of stuff, providing overwatch, etc., etc. Just amazing, eh? Incredible. I don't know if it was American pilots that then came in and got the Kiwi patrol out of there or what, but I would assume it probably was US Air Force that came in and got them. If I'm wrong on that, you know, I'm wrong. It's not intentional. It's just, I don't know. I just think that that's probably what took place in terms of the Air Force dominance that America has always had.
It's now time for the unit's newest troopers to face their most challenging counter-terrorism exercise. Infiltration by night into downtown Auckland.
At night, it's forming on top of a high-rise building. You don't want to miss the spot.
As they train, the 5 know there can be no mistake.
They accept the challenge and they make it happen. They find a solution. They don't know about the word can't. They just say, well, if this is what we've got to do, well, we'll do it and find a way to do it.
They became determined, they became extra alert, all their senses were finely tuned.
In the final analysis, I think it's just their ability to think outside the square.
The New Zealand SAS's newest troopers are now into their 8th week of counter-terrorism training.
Our soldiers need to be comfortable working in built-up areas because they're the same skills that they're going to have to be drawn on when they go into other theatres around the world.
That includes gaining access to any building, known as Method of Entry, or MOE. This footage of the Iranian embassy siege is one of the few records of SAS forces in action using MOE.
And this was one of the, during my counter-terrorism course, anyway, on my cycle in NZ, this was one of the videos that was played several times throughout my time on the course, and I remember I was just glued to it. I was just glued to it, watching it. I think when I watched it the first time, I don't recall looking at and or seeing, you know, the one of the operators hung up on the ropes, or seeing the potential danger, like in terms of, you know, that blast there in terms of their method of entry, or the roping down. I didn't look at any of that in terms of from a danger perspective. I'll be honest, I looked at it and thought, that's cool. Like, that's what I want to do. That's why I'm here. Like, that's what I saw when I was 14. Like, I didn't see that, but I saw images like that back when I was 14 years old, like only 6 years ago. And now I have the opportunity to try to make it here and be a part of this unit. Not that particular unit. Obviously, that's our founding fathers unit, 22 SAS, respect to them. But to be a part of the SAS, which was my goal, which was where I saw myself, that's what was running through my head at that time. Now, as I'm a bit older and I look back at it, you know, you see some of the, you see more of the, I suppose, the reality, like the cold, hard truth. And the reality is that those guys could have died, or some of those guys could have died before they even made entry into the building, let alone everything that would have gone on inside, and how the enemy inside could have potentially had things set up and or booby-trapped in order to kill as many of those operators as they potentially could have. Thankfully, they didn't. But, you know, that's when you start looking at things more critically, more analytically, and through a different lens. Like, okay, yep, this is cool, but there are high risks and high consequences involved if we get this.
We are used in the worst possible case where deadly force is necessary.
The new troopers have moved to a training centre designed to refine their method of entry techniques. Whether rescuing hostages or assaulting an enemy force on foreign soil, their actions must be honed and sharpened to split-second precision.
The keys to success generally have to do with stealth, surprise, and maneuver. Whether you do it in an urban scenario or whether you do it in a rural scenario is a tactical matter, but the strategy remains the same. You get the jump on the opponent before he becomes aware.
Some people will use the same SAS acronym and say surprise, aggression, and speed with regards to, but it's essentially sort of the same point there. Where I think he said stealth. Can't remember what he said for the A, and then movement, I think, was the other one. So you could, yeah, a typical one in terms of framing it and commonality, and maybe it was just to keep it simple for the operators within the unit, was that surprise, aggression, and speed. When you're going into any target or any job, trying to have that element of surprise with you all the time. When it's time to go and you get the command, go, 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 or sledgehammer now, go, 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 or whatever it is, you're aggressive and you're moving as hard as you can. And then the last part, obviously, which combines with the aggression, is the speed, but it's controlled, if that makes sense. You're not that slow as smooth as fast. Trying to have that in your mind whilst aggressively moving through, trying to maintain the element of surprise is one of those, as a core part of
the method of entry bunker is one of the deadliest facilities in which the new troopers will train.
that kill house looks pretty much the same as when, and obviously this is a while ago. I'm pretty sure they've got a brand new BTF facility now, which is much more modern and not just. They may still have that kill house there, the tire house. They may still have that and use that as well, possibly. I don't know, but they have. I do know that they have got, and I have seen one of the more modern, at least one of the more modern facilities that they've got anyway. I'm not up close. I haven't gone into it. I could see it from where I was when I was with one of my mates who was still serving all this stuff.
The purpose of that environment is to allow the soldiers to practice realism. And also in the MOE house, they can do mechanical and explosive entry techniques.
Their first challenge, to gain access to the building with live explosives. The slightest error could prove fatal.
Black rolls is pure punch.
With method of entry, the 5 troopers are taught that every conceivable route into a building must be exploited.
It's about having a bit of brain power, a bit of thought. Brutality, using brains, that's how we get into places.
It's intensive training. The new troopers rehearse for the real event.
I'm going to pause this one there. Yeah, there was a heck of a lot of rehearsals and training. Like you're pretty, well, at least for me, I know I felt pretty shattered at the end of some of those days, especially when you started incorporating, doing all the training during the day and then going into the night. Like you are getting fed during that time. Obviously, you got meals during cycle and all that sort of stuff. So it's not like there's food deprivation or anything like that happening. You get fed well, but it's just the work and the physical work and the mental load of absorbing all the information, the lessons, the orders, the instructions, your area, your team, your role within the team, and then going out there and then implementing that and executing that, and then doing that over and over again, but then at the same time shifting around and getting different roles and new roles, all part of that to stress test the individuals. Can you keep up? Can you cope with the changing scenarios or situations? Can you cope from being the MOE guy to now being at the back of the patrol and vice versa? Like just a whole bunch of stuff in between. Can you handle the curveballs that get thrown in during the different tasks or during the different assaults or whatever? Like I know they're just focusing in on the CT stuff here, so that's where I'll restrict sort of my general comments. But there's a heck of a lot, and it's and there's probably even more so now, I would imagine. So it's it's a busy time. Definitely stressful. You feel some stress, but still an awesome time. Like it's it's an exciting time. It's an exciting place to be. Very purpose driven. I felt anyway, and I feel. And you feel like you have an opportunity to make a real difference. That's my take anyway. That's how I always felt about it. That's how I still feel about the place to this day, like the SAS in general. Not just the NZSAS, which is what I'm reacting to here, but also Australia, UK, any SF, dare I say, SF Tier 1 unit and or Tier 2 units, like anywhere within that Special Forces community. I like to think that the operators within that feel like they have got a great opportunity to try to have a positive impact on the mission or the tasks that they may be presented with. Anyway, I'll leave this one here and appreciate you once again for sticking around. And I will chip away at this one as well until I get through the completion of the NZSA's First Among Equals cycle of training. So until the next one.